The wind carried the smell of rust and oil across the endless stretch of broken ships. The scrap field was quiet except for the metallic sound of loose panels knocking against each other. Between the heaps of metal walked a young scavenger named Ryan. His clothes were patched and covered in dust, and his boots left faint marks on the ash-colored ground. He carried a small bag of tools and a handheld scanner that beeped whenever it found something valuable. Ryan had lived among the wrecks his whole life. He had never seen the sky beyond the smog that covered this world. People called it Ina 4, one of the abandoned mining colonies left behind after the resource wars. Only scavengers and drifters remained here now. Ryan's home was a small shelter made from old cargo containers near the edge of the field. Each day he walked into the junklands to look for parts he could sell to traders who still came through once a month. That morning, the clouds were dark, but Ryan ignored them. He followed his scanner's faint beep through the piles of metal. He was hoping for power cells, maybe a working circuit core. Most days he found nothing worth keeping, but today something felt different. The scanner gave a long, steady tone, something it rarely did. The signal was strong and deep beneath the debris. Ryan set his bag down and started to dig. He pushed aside burnt wires, broken armor plates, and melted tools. As the layers came away, he saw something smooth and shining beneath the dirt. It was a dark piece of metal with faint blue lines that pulsed like veins. The light shimmered across it, steady and alive. Ryan froze. Nothing in this place had power anymore. Whatever this was, it still worked. He cleared more of the metal around it and soon uncovered an entire chest plate. It looked old but untouched by rust. The design was unlike anything he had seen before. The shape was sleek and the metal seemed to shift when he touched it. He remembered old stories told by the elders near the fire. Stories of the Iron Vanguards, the elite mercenaries who fought across the stars. Their armor was said to move with thought, guided by living circuits. Some believed they were not just soldiers but guardians of lost worlds. Ryan had never believed such stories, but now he wasn't so sure. He lifted the armor piece carefully. It was heavier than it looked, yet when he held it, it felt balanced, almost natural. He brushed off more dust and saw small letters near the collar. The language was old, but one word was clear: Vanguard. His heart started to beat faster. If this was real, it could be worth enough to change his life. He looked around the scrap field. No one else was near. The other scavengers had gone to the far side where the storm hadn't reached yet. Ryan smiled a little. For once, luck was on his side. He placed the armor on the ground and kept digging. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became. The entire suit was buried there. Boots, gauntlets, shoulder plates, and a helmet that still glowed faintly through the dirt. When he touched the helmet, the glow brightened. A thin beam of blue light scanned across his hand. Ryan pulled back, startled. The armor made a soft humming sound like it was breathing. He crouched close and whispered, "What are you?" The beam moved again, this time scanning his face. His scanner in his pocket went silent. Every device around him stopped working. The air felt heavy. A low voice spoke from somewhere near his ear. It was not from the helmet, but from the air itself. Identity not recognized. Awaiting command, Ryan stepped back. He looked around, expecting to see someone else, but he was alone. The armor was reacting on its own. He remembered the stories that said Vanguard armor had its own mind, linked only to its rightful user. If that was true, then maybe it was trying to bond with him. Curiosity won over fear. Ryan reached out again and placed his hand on the chest plate. The light spread under his fingers, moving across the armor like water. The ground around him shook lightly. He felt a faint pulse beneath the metal. His breath quickened. For a brief moment, he saw images in his mind. Soldiers walking across a burning world. Machines in flight. A man in black armor raising his hand as an army followed. The vision vanished as quickly as it came. He pulled his hand away and stood still, heart racing. Whatever power this armor held, it was awake again. He needed to get it back to his shelter before anyone else found it. He started to lift the armor pieces into a sack one by one. It was slow work, but he didn't care. He imagined the look on the trader's face when he brought in real Vanguard tech. This could buy him passage off-world. He could finally leave Ina 4 behind. As he lifted the helmet, the glow brightened once more. The scanner in his pocket sparked and went dead. The blue light rose higher, circling around him. He felt warmth on his skin. Then all at once, the warmth faded. Behind him came the sound of footsteps on metal. Heavy, steady, and close. Ryan turned slowly. A tall figure stood at the edge of the pit he had dug. The man was covered in dark armor, scratched and marked by battle. The helmet he wore hid his face, but 2 red lines glowed where his eyes should have been. A long rifle rested in his hands, aimed down toward Rian. The voice that came from the helmet was cold and sharp. "Put it back, or you're next." Rian froze. His throat felt dry. The armor he was holding slipped from his fingers and landed on the ground with a dull sound. The stranger stepped closer, the metal of his boots clanging with each step. The wind blew across the field, carrying pieces of dust between them. Ryan could not see the man's face, but he could feel the danger in his tone. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. The stranger spoke again. "That armor does not belong to you. It is marked. If you value your life, bury it again." Rian found his voice. "I found it. It was left here. That means it belongs to no one now." The man's helmet tilted slightly. "You have no idea what you're touching." Ryan swallowed hard. "Then tell me, what is it?" The stranger's grip on his weapon tightened. For a moment he said nothing. Then he answered, "It belonged to a vanguard. A real one. And it should have stayed buried." Ryan frowned. "The vanguards are gone. Everyone says they died years ago." "They did? That armor is one of the reasons why," the man replied. Rian looked down at the glowing helmet. It had gone dim again, almost as if it were listening. "It's still working. That means it wants to live. Maybe it chose me." The stranger's head turned sharply. "It doesn't choose, it binds. Once it connects, it never lets go. You don't want that." Ryan took a slow step back. "Why should I believe you?" The stranger's voice dropped lower. "Because I wore one once, and I lost everything because of it." For a moment, neither of them moved. The wind howled through the scrap piles. Rian finally said, "If it's so dangerous, why are you here?" The man paused. "Because when the armor wakes, others will come. Not for you. For it." He raised his weapon slightly, pointing toward the armor pieces. "Step away. I'll handle it." Rian's mind raced. If he gave up the armor, he would lose the only chance he ever had to escape this place. He took a step closer instead. "I can't let you take it," he said quietly. The stranger's helmet lights flared brighter. "You don't understand what you're doing." "I know enough," Ryan said. "I know power when I see it. This can change everything." The stranger sighed. "You're a fool!" Before Ryan could answer, the armor on the ground pulsed again. Blue light spread outward, lighting up the metal around them. The helmet floated slightly, turning toward Ryan. A thin beam of light connected it to his chest. He gasped as energy surged through him. The armor responded to his heartbeat, glowing brighter with each pulse. The stranger shouted, "Stop! It's linking with you." But it was too late. The chest plate lifted itself and attached to Ryan's body. The pieces followed one by one, connecting around his arms and legs. The energy flared until it became blinding. Rian could feel the armor moving with him like it was alive. His mind filled with whispers and data he could not understand. When the light faded, Ryan stood still. The armor had reshaped itself to fit him perfectly. His breath came out in short bursts. He could feel strength flowing through every muscle. The stranger lowered his weapon slowly. His voice sounded almost calm now. "You shouldn't have done that. Now it won't let you go." Rian looked at his hands, now covered in dark silver metal. The world around him seemed sharper, clearer. He could hear the hum of machines far away. He could feel the pulse of the armor inside him. He looked up at the stranger. Then maybe it was never meant to stay buried. The man stared at him in silence for a long time. Then he said, "You have no idea what you've just become." Ryan stood tall, unsure if he should feel fear or pride. All he knew was that everything had changed. The air around Rian felt heavier than before. The armor on his body hummed with a quiet rhythm that matched his heartbeat. He could feel every small vibration in the ground and even the faint wind that moved through the broken metal around them. The stranger in the black armor watched him with silent caution. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The light from the sky shone faintly through the clouds, glinting off their suits. Then the stranger lowered his rifle and said in a calm tone, "You have made a mistake that cannot be undone." Ryan clenched his fists. The armor moved perfectly with him, as if it understood what he wanted. "I did what I had to. You told me not to touch it, but I could not leave it there. This is my chance to survive." The stranger's voice carried a tired edge. "You think it is a gift, but it is a chain. Once the armor bonds, it learns you. It listens to your thoughts. And if you are not strong enough, it takes you instead. Ryan took a step back. You are trying to scare me. Why should I believe a man who hides his face? The stranger hesitated. Then he pressed a control on the side of his helmet. The front plate lifted with a soft click. Underneath was a weathered face marked by scars and deep eyes that had seen too much. His voice was calmer now. My name is Darren. I once wore armor like yours. I fought with the Iron Vanguards. I watched my squad fall one by one because of what that armor can do. Ryan looked at him with surprise. You were a Vanguard? Yes, a long time ago, Darren said. Before the Corps broke apart. Before we learned the truth. Ryan touched his chest where the glowing lines of the armor still pulsed. Then you know what this is. You can help me understand it. Darren shook his head. Help you? I came here to destroy it. That armor should have stayed buried. When the war ended, the command ordered us to dismantle every suit. But some were lost, hidden in places like this. I tracked this one for years, Ryan frowned. If it is so dangerous, why didn't you destroy it already? Darren's eyes narrowed. Because it was asleep. The armor only wakes when it finds a new host. You were unlucky enough to wake it again. Ryan felt anger rising inside him. You keep saying it is dangerous, but I can feel it. It is alive. It listens. It wants to help. Darren looked at him sharply. That is what it wants you to believe. The armor was built to serve, but it cannot tell the difference between protecting and controlling. It merges with your mind until you cannot tell where you end and it begins. Ryan stood still, trying to make sense of it. The armor was silent now, only humming softly as if it were listening to their talk. If it was made to protect, maybe it can still do that. I have nothing here, Darren. No family, no home, no hope. Maybe this is my way to be something more. Darren walked closer and stopped a few feet away. Power is not what makes a man more. Choice does. If you let that armor control your choices, it will eat you alive. Ryan looked down at his armored hands. They looked strong and unbreakable. The thought of giving that up filled him with fear. You said it listens. Then maybe I can teach it to listen to me. Darren sighed. You speak like I once did. I thought I could control it too. But the armor learns from every battle, from every death. It carries memories of every vanguard who wore it. Those memories do not fade. They stay inside, whispering. Ryan remembered the flashes he had seen earlier. The battlefields, the faces of unknown soldiers. I saw them. The memories. They came like a storm in my mind. Darren nodded slowly. Then the merge has started. Soon you will hear the echo. That is what we called the voice of the armor's core. It carries the mind pattern of its last user. It will speak to you, guide you, and if you are not careful, it will replace you. Ryan took a slow breath. If it wants to replace me, I will fight it. You cannot fight what is already inside you, Darren replied. The best you can do is learn its limits before it learns yours. A long silence followed. The sound of the wind filled the space between them. Ryan finally said, You said others will come. What did you mean by that? Darren looked toward the horizon. A faint shimmer of light flickered far away. When the armor reactivates, it sends a beacon across the old network. The signal tells the Vanguard systems that one of their suits is alive again. It also tells those who hunt Vanguard tech. Soon scavenger lords and raiders will come here hoping to claim it. Ryan felt a chill in his chest. Then we have to move. Darren looked back at him. We? You said you tracked this armor. You know what it can do. You can help me control it. Darren shook his head. I do not help those who refuse to listen. Ryan stepped closer. You said it yourself. Others are coming. If they find me, they will kill me. If you leave me, they will get the armor anyway. So help me control it and we both survive. Darren stared at him for a long time. His expression showed conflict between duty and pity. At last he said, Fine, but if I see the armor taking over, I will end it myself. Ryan nodded. Agreed. Darren reattached his helmet and turned away. Follow me. I have a safe place near the edge of the wasteland. They moved through the scrap field in silence. The sky had turned darker, and distant lightning flashed through the clouds. The storm was coming. Ryan felt the armor reacting to the electric air, its lines glowing brighter with each flash. He tried to ignore it, focusing on Darren's steps ahead. After some time, they reached a half-buried ship hull. Darren led him inside through a narrow opening. The interior was dim but dry. Old lights flickered weakly on the ceiling. Ryan looked around and saw a small power core still running. There were weapons, tools, and a table with data pads scattered across it. "This is where you live?" Ryan asked. "Where I hide," Darren said. "No one comes this far. The signal from here is shielded." He walked to the table and activated a projection. A faint map appeared showing parts of the planet's surface. Ryan saw blinking marks scattered across it. Darren pointed to one near the center. "That is where we found the armor. And this," he pointed to several moving signals, "is what is coming for us." Ryan's stomach tightened. "How long until they reach us?" "A few hours, maybe less. They travel fast. Mercenary bands, scavenger fleets. Some may even be old Vanguard seekers. They all want the same thing." Ryan's hand went to his chest. "The armor?" "Yes," Darren said. "And they will kill you to take it." Ryan looked around the small shelter. "Then we fight." Darren gave him a sharp look. "Fight? You have never fought in your life." "I have survived this world since I was a child," Ryan said. "I know how to fight for my life." "The armor will make you stronger," Darren said. "But strength is not enough. You must learn how to control the link, or it will control you in battle. Close your eyes." Ryan obeyed, standing still as Darren spoke in a low voice. "Focus on the sound of your heart. Let the armor follow your rhythm, not lead it. Breathe steady. The armor reacts to fear, to anger, to every thought you have. It can read what you want before you act. That is both its power and its danger." Ryan took a deep breath. He felt the hum of the armor slow and match his pulse. For a moment he felt calm. The lights on his suit dimmed slightly. "Good," Darren said. "Keep that control. Never let it move before you do." Ryan opened his eyes. "It feels alive." "It is," Darren said. "But it remembers more lives than you can imagine." Ryan looked at him. "You said you lost your squad. What happened to them?" Darren's gaze darkened. "We found a weapon that should never have existed. The armor was built to fight it, but it failed. The weapon turned the vanguards against each other. The suits began to see us as threats. We tried to shut them down, but by then it was too late. Only a few of us survived. I destroyed my own armor before it could take me too." Ryan's hands tightened. "Then this armor is one of the last." "Yes," Darren said quietly. "And it carries the memory of the one who fell in that battle. The echo you saw belongs to him." Ryan sat down on a metal crate. The thought of another mind inside his head made his skin crawl. "What if I can talk to it? What if it can tell us what really happened?" Darren stared at him. "You are not ready for that. If you open that channel too soon, it could break your mind." Ryan looked up at him. "If the armor sends a signal to others, then maybe the echo knows how to stop it." Darren hesitated. He could not deny the logic. "Fine," he said finally. "But you must be careful. Do it slowly. Focus on one thought. Ask who it is." Ryan closed his eyes again and placed his hand over the chest plate. The light beneath his palm glowed softly. He took a slow breath and whispered, "Who are you?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then a warm vibration spread through his arm. A voice echoed inside his mind, calm, deep, and human. "I am Auric, Vanguard of the 9th Legion." "Who wears my armor?" Ryan's eyes opened wide. It spoke. Darren stepped closer. "What did it say?" "It said its name is Auric. It knows I am here." The voice spoke again inside Ryan's head. "You are not a soldier. Yet you are bound to me. That is dangerous for both of us," Ryan whispered. "I do not want to hurt anyone. I just want to live." "Then learn quickly," the voice said, "because they are coming for us." At that same moment, alarms on Darren's console began to flash red. He looked at the monitor and cursed under his breath. "They are here already." Ryan stood up, his armor flaring with blue light as if reacting to the danger. Darren grabbed his rifle. "Stay behind me. Do not let the armor take over." Outside, engines roared through the storm. The ground trembled under the weight of landing craft. The beacon had done its job. The hunters had arrived. The ground shook as the first explosion hit the outer scrap piles. Pieces of metal flew through the air, glowing from the heat. The sound of engines and shouting filled the wasteland. Darren crouched near the door of the shelter, his rifle aimed at the storm of dust outside. Ryan stood behind him, the armor glowing brighter with every heartbeat. Darren spoke quickly. "They have found the signal. They will not stop until they have the armor. We cannot stay here." Ryan looked toward the noise. "Then we fight our way out." Darren turned sharply. "No, we move through the tunnels under this wreck. There is an exit to the north ridge. From there we can reach the old command vault." Ryan frowned. "Vault? What is in there?" "Answers," Darren said. "And maybe a way to stop that armor from drawing more enemies." Before Ryan could answer, the shelter's wall burst inward. A wave of heat swept through the room as metal fragments scattered across the floor. Figures in black suits stormed in through the smoke. They carried plasma rifles and heavy shields. Their helmets had red lights that cut through the dust. Darren fired first. His shots were precise, striking the attacker's armor joints. Sparks flashed as the raiders fell. Ryan raised his arm by instinct, and the armor reacted before he did. A blue shield formed around him, absorbing a burst of plasma fire. The energy rolled across its surface like water. Ryan stared at it, amazed. Darren shouted over the sound of gunfire. "Stay behind cover. Do not let the armor think for you." But the armor already moved on its own. When another shot came, Ryan lifted his arm again and a pulse of blue energy shot forward, knocking two raiders off their feet. The blast left a glowing mark on the wall. Ryan looked down at his hands. "I did not mean to do that." Darren grabbed his shoulder. "That is what I warned you about. It reacts to your thoughts before you can stop them. You must stay in control." The attackers regrouped outside. Darren threw a smoke charge and they moved through the side tunnel. The narrow passage was filled with broken pipes and hanging cables. The air was hot and smelled of burned oil. They moved fast, following the faint blue light from Ryan's armor. Ryan spoke as they ran. "The armor said its name is Auric. It speaks to me." Darren did not look back. "Then it has fully awakened. You are now linked with the echo." Ryan's voice was tense. "It does not sound evil." "It helps me," Darren replied firmly. "It helps you because it wants to survive. The echo is not alive the way you are. It follows its last command no matter the cost." Behind them, the tunnel shook from another blast. Dust fell from the ceiling. They reached a broken hatch at the end of the tunnel. Darren forced it open and stepped into a wide underground chamber filled with old vehicles and half-buried containers. "This way," he said, pointing to a ramp that led upward. As they climbed, Ryan heard the voice again inside his mind. It was calm but strong. "Your enemy is close. The pattern of their movement is clear." "Allow me to assist," Ryan whispered. "What kind of assist?" "Target tracking, shield timing, weapon control." Ryan hesitated. "If I let you, will you take over?" "No, I will act through you. Together we can survive." Darren noticed him slowing down. "Are you talking to it again?" Ryan nodded slightly. "It wants to help." Darren's tone was sharp. "Ignore it." But another explosion echoed behind them. The roof of the tunnel began to crumble. Ryan made a quick choice. "We do not have time. I need its help." He allowed the armor to synchronize. His vision changed instantly. Symbols and lines appeared in front of his eyes. He could see movement through walls, heat trails, and target paths. His hearing sharpened until he could count footsteps from far away. Darren noticed the change. "What did you do?" Ryan's voice sounded steady. "I see them. There are 7 coming from the left passage." Darren raised his rifle. "You are sure?" Ryan nodded. "Completely." When the raiders appeared from the shadows, Ryan moved before they could fire. The armor reacted to every thought, forming shields and striking with bursts of energy. Darren covered his flank, shooting precisely where Ryan directed. The fight ended in moments. The attackers lay scattered, their weapons silent. Darren lowered his rifle. "You fought like a trained soldier." Ryan breathed hard. "It showed me where to aim." "That is how it begins," Darren said quietly. "You start trusting it more than yourself." Ryan ignored him and looked around the chamber. "We need to reach that vault. You said it has answers." Darren nodded reluctantly. "The vault lies below the old command base. That is where the Vanguard stored their records. If we can access the data, we might find out why this armor was left behind." They continued north through the tunnels. The light from Ryan's armor guided their path. After a long walk, they reached an elevator shaft that went straight up. Darren checked the power lines. "Dead, we climb." Ryan grabbed the metal rungs. The armor supported his weight, making the climb easy. When they reached the top, he forced open the hatch and stepped into a wide corridor, lined with old banners. The symbol of the Iron Vanguard still hung on the walls, a silver wing with a glowing core at its center. Ryan looked around in awe. "This place is still standing." Darren's voice was low. "This was once our command hall. Thousands of soldiers trained here." They walked down the corridor until they reached a large door marked with ancient script. Darren placed his hand on the panel beside it, but nothing happened. "It needs a Vanguard signature." Ryan stepped forward. "Let me try." He placed his armored hand on the same panel. The lights flickered. The door scanned him, and a voice spoke from hidden speakers. Vanguard code detected. Identity incomplete. Secondary pattern recognized. Access granted. The door opened slowly with a heavy sound. Inside was a wide chamber filled with consoles and a large holographic table in the center. Dust covered everything, but the system still glowed faintly. Ryan walked to the table. The armor projected data from his arm onto the surface. A map appeared showing several points across the planet. One mark pulsed brightly in the southern sector. Darren looked at it and frowned. That is the old war vault. The one sealed before the core fell. No one was supposed to open it again. The voice of Arik spoke inside Ryan's head. That vault holds the core, the weapon we were ordered to protect. It must not fall into the wrong hands. Ryan repeated the words aloud. Darren's face hardened. Then that is what this is about. Someone wants that weapon and your armor has reactivated its coordinates. Ryan asked, "What is the weapon?" Darren shook his head. "We called it the Judgment Core. It was built to end wars by controlling every machine on the battlefield. But it turned on us. It tried to erase both sides. The Vanguard stopped it and sealed it away. If your armor has reawakened that signal, then the core might be waking too." Ryan's voice was low. "Then we have to stop it." Darren gave him a sharp look. "We cannot stop it. The only thing that can reach it safely is that armor. And even then it may destroy you." Ryan's expression hardened. "If that is what it takes, then I will go." Darren placed a hand on his shoulder. "You do not understand what you are saying. That thing ended empires. You are not ready to face it." Ryan met his gaze. "You said the armor remembers its past. Then it also remembers how to fight it." "I have its memory. I can use it." Darren stepped back, studying him. The blue light of the armor reflected off his helmet. "You are too much like the soldiers I once knew. Brave but blind." Before Ryan could answer, alarms began to echo through the command hall. Red lights flashed on the walls. A robotic voice announced, "Unauthorized signal detected. External breach." Darren raised his rifle. "They tracked us again. We need to move." Ryan turned toward the far door. "Which way?" "Down the east corridor," Darren said. "It leads to the hangar." They ran through the hall as the sound of boots and metal echoed behind them. The raiders had found another entrance. Darren fired short bursts to slow them down. Ryan covered him, using energy shields to block incoming shots. The corridors filled with flashes of red and blue light. They reached the hangar where an old transport ship sat covered in dust. Darren ran to the control panel and started working to restore power. "Keep them back," he shouted. Ryan turned to face the doorway. The armor responded to his will, forming blades of energy around his hands. The voice of Arik spoke again. "You are learning. Use your focus, not your fear." The raiders entered the hangar in waves. Ryan moved with speed he did not know he had. Each strike was guided by instinct and the armor's memory. He could see every move before it happened. Darren finally powered up the ship. The engines roared to life, shaking the floor. "Now!" Darren shouted. "Get in!" Ryan jumped onto the ramp, covering Darren as he followed. The ship lifted from the ground, rising through the broken roof into the dark sky. The storm outside raged, lightning flashing across the clouds. Inside the cockpit, Darren took the pilot's seat while Ryan watched the sensors. The radar showed multiple ships chasing them. Darren pushed the engines to full power. "We will not outrun them for long." Ryan looked at his armor. "Can it help us?" The voice of Arik answered inside his head. "I can interface with the ship's systems." "Shall I?" Ryan said, "Do it." The ship's console flickered. The engine surged and the entire vessel accelerated faster than before. Darren looked surprised. It connected directly to the controls. "That is impossible." Ryan smiled slightly. "It seems possible now." The ship shot through the storm, leaving the raiders behind. After a long flight, Ryan and Darren stepped into the cave, the darkness swallowing them like a heavy blanket. The walls were jagged and damp, and water dripped steadily from above, echoing in the emptiness. The glow from Ryan's armor lit the path ahead, revealing a narrow tunnel that widened into a cavern. The faint sound of distant engines and metal clanging reminded them that they were not alone. Darren held his rifle ready. "Stay close," he whispered. "This cave has been used for years as a hideout for scavenger gangs. Some still patrol here." Ryan nodded, though his mind was focused on the armor. The voice of Arik spoke softly inside his head. "Be alert. The core senses our approach. The energy here is strong. It will test you." "What kind of test?" Ryan asked quietly. "Strength, speed, and judgment? The core's guardians are not human. They were built to stop anyone from reaching it. The two moved forward, carefully stepping over broken machinery and old crates. Ryan noticed faint scorch marks on the rocks and wondered what battles had been fought in this place. Every so often, the armor gave him suggestions, shifting shields to deflect imaginary blasts, enhancing his grip on the rocks, and highlighting weak points in the walls. After what seemed like hours of walking, they reached a massive chamber. The walls were lined with machinery from a forgotten era. In the center of the room, a massive gate blocked their path. The gate glowed faintly, covered in symbols that matched the ones on Ryan's armor. "The core's energy field," Darren said. "It will not let us pass easily." Ryan placed his armored hand on the gate. The blue light from the suit pulsed in response. "I can interface with the gate," Arik said. "But it will resist. Focus your mind. Lead, do not force." Ryan concentrated, imagining himself as part of the gate instead of an intruder. The symbols flickered, then began to shift. Slowly, the massive door slid open with a grinding sound. A wave of cold energy swept over them. Darren shivered. "Be ready. This is where the test begins." As they entered, the ground trembled. From the shadows emerged large mechanical guardians. They were taller than any human and armed with blades and energy shields. Their glowing red eyes locked onto the intruders. Ryan's armor reacted instantly. Energy barriers formed around him, and small pulses extended outward, scanning the area. "Do not hesitate," Arik said. "Move as one. Attack only when necessary." Darren took a deep breath and fired, striking the first guardian at a joint. Sparks flew as it staggered but did not fall. Ryan raised his arm, sending a pulse of blue energy that knocked another guardian backward. Together, man and armor moved as a single unit. Every strike, every dodge was guided by instinct and memory. The guardians advanced, but Ryan felt no fear. The armor strengthened him, linking his reflexes with centuries of knowledge stored within Arik. He could see the paths the guardians would take before they moved. Each time one lunged, he deflected it with a shield of energy or struck a precise blow that disabled a limb. Darren kept up, covering Ryan's flank and using his rifle to strike weak points the armor highlighted. They moved through the chamber, avoiding traps and eliminating guardians until they reached another large door. This one was different. The glow was brighter, almost blinding. "The core is near," Darren whispered. "Feel the energy?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, it is. Aware of us. It is watching." The voice of Arik grew stronger in his head. "It senses our intentions. We must act carefully. The core tests not just strength but judgment. It can strike at your mind as easily as your body." Ryan took a deep breath. "How do we get past it?" "Trust in your mind. Trust in me. Use what we have learned together. One wrong move and it will strike." The door began to open and a wave of energy washed over them. The ground beneath their feet shook violently. Ryan felt a sudden pressure in his mind, as if something was reaching in to understand him. He faltered but steadied himself. "Focus on your intent," Arik instructed. "Do not let it read fear. Do not let it sense doubt. Lead and it will follow." Ryan extended his arms. The armor's energy spread outward, forming a protective barrier that pushed back the mental pressure. The core's influence retreated slightly, as if recognizing his strength. Darren looked at him with a mixture of awe and concern. "How are you holding it?" Ryan breathed steadily. "It is like a wave. I ride it instead of fighting it." The chamber beyond the door was immense. In the center floated a massive orb of light, pulsing with energy. The air was filled with a low hum that resonated through Ryan's body. The orb's glow reflected in the armor, creating an almost blinding brightness. "That is the core," Darren whispered. "It is active." Ryan stepped closer, feeling the energy of the orb press against him. "Do not be afraid," Arik said. "It will try to judge you. It will test whether you are worthy to approach." Suddenly, projections of battlefields appeared around them. He saw soldiers falling, machines exploding, and worlds burning. The images were vivid and painful. The core's influence was testing him, showing him the cost of power. Ryan's mind screamed with the images, but he steadied himself. "I am human," he thought. "I make my own choices." The armor responded, forming a barrier around his mind that shielded him from the projections. The blue light expanded, pushing back the core's illusions. Darren moved to his side, amazed. "It is resisting the core's influence. Incredible." Ryan focused. "I do not wish to destroy. I wish to protect. I wish to contain." The core pulsed in response. The images froze. Slowly they faded, leaving the chamber calm. Though still alive with energy, Ryan felt a connection forming between him, the armor, and the core. "You are strong," Arik said inside his mind, "but not without your will. The core recognizes that." Ryan looked at Darren. "We can stop it from being a threat." Darren nodded slowly. "Then we have to bind it. That is what the Vanguard intended. That is why the armor was left for you." Ryan took a deep breath and placed his armored hand over the orb. Blue energy flowed from his suit into the core. It pulsed and twisted, resisting at first, then slowing. Arik's voice guided him. "Lead, do not force. Show it control through understanding, not strength." Ryan focused all his will. He imagined containing the core, guiding its energy into a stable loop. The orb's light dimmed slightly, pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. The core's energy felt like a storm, but he held steady. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Finally, the orb's pulsing slowed. The chamber became calm. Ryan could feel the core's presence, but it was no longer hostile. It seemed to accept him as the anchor, allowing its power to be contained. Darren exhaled. "You did it." "You held it?" Ryan looked down at the armor. "It is done," Arik said. "We have contained the core, for now it will not harm anyone." Ryan felt exhaustion wash over him. Every muscle ached, but the armor still responded to his thoughts. He realized the full cost of merging with the armor. He had gained strength, knowledge, and connection, but he also carried a part of the core within him. Darren placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are the last Vanguard now. You have survived what none could. The armor chose you, but it is your will that kept the core in check." Ryan nodded. He understood that his life would never be the same. He was no longer just a scavenger. He had become the guardian of something greater, something that could shape the future of worlds. Outside, the storm had passed. Light filtered into the cave, reflecting off the armor. Ryan looked toward the horizon, knowing that the battles ahead would not be easy. The core was contained, but the world would always test him. He turned to Darren. "We need to leave. Others will still come looking for the armor." Darren agreed. "Yes, but for now you have proven yourself. The armor is strong, but the human inside it is stronger. That is what makes it truly powerful." Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. The light of the armor illuminated the path out of the cave. The core's energy pulsed gently beneath his chest, a reminder of the responsibility he now carried. Together, Ryan and Darren moved out of the chamber. The battles were not over, but the first test had been won. Humanity had survived the impossible once again, not by machines, but by the courage and determination of a single human mind, bonded with legendary technology. The armor glowed brighter with each step, as if proud to serve the human it had chosen. The sky above the valley had cleared. Light streamed through the clouds, revealing a world scarred by war but still alive. Ryan and Darren walked through the rocky terrain toward the remains of an old landing zone. The core's energy pulsed faintly beneath Ryan's armor, a steady heartbeat that reminded him of the responsibility he carried. Darren looked at him with a mixture of respect and caution. "You have come far, Ryan. You contained the core, but the danger is not over. Others will still seek it. Mercenaries, scavengers, even remnants of old Vanguard hunters. They all know where you are now." Ryan nodded, feeling the weight of the armor and the knowledge it carried. "I understand. But I am not afraid anymore. We know the core is contained. That gives us an advantage." The voice of Arik spoke inside his mind. "The core's signal is stable. We have limited time before others detect its energy. We must move and prepare defenses." Darren glanced around. "There is an abandoned base nearby. It was once a research facility for the Vanguard. If we can secure it, we can set traps and fortify our position. It will slow anyone who comes for the core," Ryan agreed. They moved quickly through the valley, the armor amplifying his speed and agility. Every step felt precise, every movement guided by the subtle interface between his mind and Arik's experience. They reached the facility, a large structure made of reinforced metal and stone. Most of it was damaged, but the main chamber was intact. Inside, Ryan activated the core's containment protocols. The orb's energy stabilized and the room hummed with a controlled vibration. Arik's voice spoke calmly. "Containment is holding. We can now prepare for those who come." Darren surveyed the room. "We need defenses. Sensors, turrets, anything we can activate. This will be a trap." Ryan nodded and began interfacing with the old control panels. The armor systems linked with the facility. powering dormant turrets and activating shields around the perimeter. Within minutes, the once abandoned base became a fortress, glowing with blue energy from the armor's influence. Darren stepped back, impressed. "I did not think it would respond so well to your commands. You and the armor truly are one now." Ryan smiled slightly. "It is not just me. It is Arik too. We share this responsibility." Outside, the wind began to shift. Dust rose from the valley, and faint shapes appeared on the horizon. Raider ships, scavenger walkers, and old hunting drones moved in unison toward the base. The attackers had been drawn by the Corps' beacon, unaware of the trap waiting for them. Darren raised his rifle. "They will not stop. Are you ready?" Ryan stood tall, the armor glowing brighter with each heartbeat. "I am ready," Arik said. "Together we can face them." The first wave reached the perimeter. Energy shields flared as turrets fired, knocking back the attackers. Ryan moved among the defenses with precision, guiding the flow of energy to strengthen barriers and enhance weapon systems. Every pulse of the armor was in sync with his thoughts. Darren covered him, firing at enemies that broke through the first lines. "You are doing more than I expected." "The armor is responding like a full squad," Ryan focused. "It is learning from the environment. We can use that against them." Another wave of attackers advanced. This time they came with heavy machinery, large armored walkers designed to crush anything in their path. Ryan directed energy pulses from the armor, striking weak points and destabilizing the machines. Sparks flew as metal twisted and fell. The battlefield seemed to bend to his will. Darren shouted, "They are regrouping. Another group is coming from the west ridge." Ryan's eyes scanned the valley. The armor projected tactical information, showing the movement of every enemy. "We can trap them in the narrow canyon," Arik suggested. "Lead them there. We can isolate them and reduce their numbers." Ryan moved quickly, using his enhanced speed to guide the enemies into the canyon. Energy barriers closed behind them, forcing the attackers into a narrow passage. Turrets fired from both sides, striking with precise timing. Ryan controlled the flow of battle as if he were conducting an orchestra. Darren watched in awe. "I have never seen anyone fight like this. The armor truly enhances your instincts." Ryan felt a surge of confidence. "It does more than that. It teaches me. I see patterns, I predict movements. We are not just fighting. We are winning." The attackers began to falter. Their machines jammed under the coordinated energy pulses. Soldiers stumbled as the blue light of the armor disoriented them. Ryan moved among them, disabling weapons without causing unnecessary harm. He realized that his purpose was not just to fight, but to protect the core and contain its power responsibly. After several hours, the last of the attackers fell back, retreating into the distance. The valley was quiet again, the dust settling over the broken machines and scorched ground. Ryan lowered his arms, the armor dimming slightly. Darren approached him, breathing heavily. "You have done it. The attackers are gone. You held them off and contained the core at the same time. I have never seen such skill." Ryan shook his head. "It is not just skill. The armor helped. Arik helped. We worked together." Arik's voice echoed inside his mind. "You have proven yourself. Humanity and the armor can coexist. Strength comes not from domination, but from understanding." Darren placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "You are the last vanguard. You carry the legacy of those who fought for peace, for balance. The world will not forget this day." Ryan looked at the core, its light steady and calm. "It is contained. It is safe for now," he said. "We will protect it until no one seeks to misuse it." Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm light across the valley. The storm had passed. The air smelled of metal, dust, and a faint scent of rain. Ryan felt the armor hum softly as if acknowledging his words. Darren nodded. "We need to prepare for what comes next. Others will try again. But now you are ready." Ryan took a deep breath. "I am not alone. I have Arik the armor and I have you. Together we can face anything." Darren smiled slightly. "You have learned well. But remember, the core will always test you. You must remain vigilant or it will consume those who are careless." Ryan looked out over the valley, the mountains stretching into the distance. He thought about the scavenger he had been, walking through the junk fields unaware of the destiny awaiting him. Now he was something more, a guardian, a protector, a human linked with legendary technology. "We begin a new chapter," Arik said inside his mind. "The past has ended. The future is ours to shape." Ryan nodded, feeling the truth of the words. He activated the base's defense systems fully, creating a shielded zone around the core. The facility hummed with energy, ready to withstand any attack. He looked at Darren. "Let's make this place a stronghold," Ryan said. "A place where humanity and the Vanguard legacy can survive." Darren agreed. "We will need more supplies, more allies. But this is a start. You have proven that one human, guided by courage and wisdom, can achieve what entire armies could not." Ryan looked down at his armored hands. "It is more than strength," he whispered. "It is understanding, strategy, and heart. The armor is powerful, but humanity gives it purpose." Arek's voice resonated warmly. "You have learned the most important lesson. Power without wisdom is dangerous. You now carry both." As the sun rose higher, Ryan felt hope bloom within him. The core's light pulsed steadily beneath his chest. He knew that the days ahead would be challenging. Others would come, battles would rage, and the temptation of power would always lurk nearby. But for the first time in his life, Ryan felt ready. He was no longer just a scavenger. He was a guardian, a human strengthened by technology, by courage, and by wisdom, and he would ensure that the core, the ultimate weapon of the past, would never be used to harm innocent lives again. Darren placed his hand on Ryan's shoulder one last time. "The world has changed because of you. Remember that. And remember this. Humanity always finds a way, even when faced with the impossible." Ryan nodded. He looked out over the valley, the base glowing beneath him, the core safe and contained. The journey was far from over, but he had proven that humans, even ordinary ones, could rise above their limits when courage and responsibility guided their actions. The armor pulsed in harmony with his heartbeat. Arek's voice spoke one final time. "We are ready. Together we protect the future." And with that, Ryan stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He was the last vanguard, the guardian of the core, and a symbol of humanity's enduring strength. The valley was quiet, the sky clear, and the future waiting. The legend of Ryan, the scavenger turned guardian, had just begun.